and welcome back to the start of another weekly vlog. And this vlog is very excitedly coming to you from Traverse City, Michigan, where my husband and I are currently on vacation, and I am so excited that you guys are going to be joining me for this journey. We are here through the entire weekend, and for those of you that don't know, Traverse City is on the west side of Michigan, just along the coast on Lake Michigan itself, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's full of shopping and wineries and breweries and food, and not to mention a couple of very, very exciting bookstores that we are going to be visiting together along the way. So this week you are going to see our trip here, all of the shopping we do, especially at the bookstores, some of the wineries that we get to stop at, and what we are reading for this vlog, which is A Darker Shade of Magic, which is a reread for me. I read this a couple of years ago, and if you've watched any of my recent videos, like my first and faves video, or even my TBR video that just came out, I talked about how I read this first book a couple of years ago, absolutely loved it, fell in love with V.E. Schwab as an author, and then I just never really kept up with the series. I was in a slump at the time. I couldn't get myself into fantasy and it just wasn't really landing. But more and more as I've been reading through fantasy series as the years have gone on, and especially revisiting some of these authors for some of the videos that I've been doing for my channel, I remembered how much I loved this world, and I definitely want to finish the series this year. So I am doing a reread this April of the first book of this series, and then hopefully continuing on with the new release, A Fragile Thread of Power, as well. So for this vlog, we are going to be doing this reread together, and you are going to get a little sneak peek at our vacation on the west coast of Michigan. So without further ado, welcome to this week's weekly vlog. I am so excited for you guys to join me, and I will catch up with you as soon as I have another update. All right, bye. Good morning, friends. I wanted to do a quick reading check-in with you before the day got started, and I'm being super quiet because my husband is still sleeping, so hopefully using the microphone this time will help at least pick up my whispery voice while we do this check-in together. But the weekend is going to fly by, and I wanted to make sure I was at least doing some sort of reading check-in with you guys while I'm here, because I have still been reading. So as I said yesterday, for this vlog, we are going to be reading A Darker Shade of Magic together, and I started this not yesterday, but the night before. Read just a little bit, and then I was able to read yesterday morning before we left, and then I did listen to a little bit of the audiobook as well on the way here, because we had about a 3.5 hour drive. I didn't listen to it the entire drive, but just here and there, and that helped me kind of chip away at the book at least a little bit through the drive. And I read last night after we kind of came back to the room, and also I was able to sit down and read this morning like I usually do at home. So I am currently on page 177. So yes, I know I've read quite a bit already and haven't even checked in with you guys at all, but you have to keep in mind that this is also a reread for me. I've already read this book once through, and then I started the second book but never finished it. So that's why I am going back and just starting fresh, because I never even really got that far into book two. And it's been so long since I've read it. I needed the reminder of everything. But the book itself is about 400 pages. So I'm 177 in now, so almost 50% through. And for those of you that haven't read this book, this is a beautifully written fantasy series by V.E. Schwab that follows our main character, Kel, who is called an Antari. That is a magician that is able to travel through parallel Londons because the world that they live in actually has three different Londons. So there's Red London, White London, and Grey London. Magic is only prevalent in Red London and White London and does not exist at all in Grey London anymore. And whatever London you live in is the London you live in. People cannot actually travel in between these Londons. Only very specific types of people with very specific types of magic, called the Antari, are able to do so. And Kel is currently one of two that even still exist in this world. He finds himself in a little bit of a pickle because he sometimes likes to help people move objects and items and letters and things between Londons, which is not allowed whatsoever. So he already puts himself in this kind of sticky predicament when he does that. And he is approached by a woman in one of the Londons and is asked to please take something of hers to her family in another London. Cal feels like it's a little bit sketchy, but he agrees to do it. And then in doing so, he discovers that it was actually not something he should have been transferring from one London to the next, because as he does, he realizes there's a group of assassins waiting for him to take what he brought back to this London with him. When this occurs, he ends up running into our other main character, Delilah, or she goes by Lila in the book, and she kind of helps save him in this situation that he's gotten himself into. And because Lila is a thief, she ends up pickpocketing the item that he brought with him into Grey London. So ensues this meeting of them and all the mishaps that they are going to go on together between these Londons. And I forgot how vividly V.E. Schwab can write a scene and just bring out so much detail in not only her characters but her surroundings, and it's just the right amount. So it's not like 2 pages of description of a place or a thing. It is just enough wording to let you visualize exactly what they're holding or what they're looking at or where they're at or what they're feeling or smelling. And I just got lost in her writing from page 1 again. And I was like, oh my God, I remember why I loved this book so much, why I love her so much as an author, because she just is able to make these magical worlds come to life. And I am here for any kind of story like that because, as you guys know, if you've been around for a minute, I am a fantasy girly. I love me some fantasy, but there's a difference between just reading a fantasy and then like being in a fantasy book, and that's what her writing is like for me. And I am so excited to finally continue on with the series. I look back at it now and I think it's so silly. I remember loving this book and the characters so much, and then just something happened. And I'm sure that's happened to you before too. Like you've just gotten into a slump, and this was like a months-long slump. I bet I didn't even read for about a year after I kind of started book 2 of this, and I just put it down. And I don't know, reading just wasn't happening in my life at the time. So now that I have a newfound love for reading and all of this community that I'm involved in, like the Bookstagram and the Booktube community, I am so excited to be back in this world and do it alongside this community. And I can't wait to see how book 2 turns out, and then so on and so forth with the rest of the series. Also, very excited that we are here for the weekend because there are 2 really cool bookstores here that we are going to do some shopping in, and I'll give you guys a sneak peek of that as we go through them. But they did have a couple of books that were on my TBR for this month and then also next month as well. So I think we're going to pick those up this weekend. I'm also going to give you guys a sneak peek at some of the wineries and the food that we do this weekend, because for those of you that don't know, Traverse City on the west side of Michigan is kind of like this wine country, quote unquote, if you will, in the state of Michigan. And it is broken into 2 different peninsulas. And up these peninsulas on the lake in Michigan, like the Great Lake, are numerous wineries from families that have owned them for years and new ones that have come about over the years. But it's a really cool experience to like travel up the peninsulas along the coast of the water and then sit and drink some different wines that grow on different areas of the peninsulas. So I'm excited to take you guys along with me there. But I wanted to sit and do a reading check-in because again, I'm already almost halfway through this book, but we are just now getting to the meat of it where Kel and Delilah have met. He has been in this situation where he has taken something from one London and brought it into a different London that is very clearly coveted by someone specific and has already caused trouble between him and the other Antari. And it is a very, very like powerful type of magic in this stone that he brought with him. So I will try to read a little bit more this morning and then this afternoon when we get back from all of our adventures today. And if things are quiet, I will most likely be listening to a little more of the audiobook on the ride home. We aren't going home for like another 2 days, but I have a feeling I'll be able to keep chipping away at this book while we're here the whole time. So I just wanted to do this check-in with you guys before I got completely done with book one and moved on to the second one. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here for the weekend and have you guys get a little sneak peek on one of our favorite vacation spots. So I'm going to let you guys go now, get ready for the day, have a little more coffee and read some more, and then I will check in with you guys when I have another update. All right, bye. I'd rather die on an adventure than live standing still. Oh, Lila, I love you so much. Hi friends, good morning. I'm sorry, getting a quick sip of coffee because your girl is very tired. But I wanted to do another reading check-in with you guys. You have been bouncing around with us all weekend and we have had so much fun, but let me tell you what, the weather was so beautiful yesterday and we hit two of our favorite wineries and we were just talking to the people that work there and the locals and having so much fun. Anyways, that's besides the point. I wanted to do a reading check-in because somehow along the journey of this trip, I have still been able to read quite a bit of my book, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and I only have about 100 pages left at this point. I think I put it down last night when I was reading I'm on page 301. So we only have about 100 pages left, and I wanted to do a recap of how I'm feeling on it with a reread. And the cool thing, but I don't do rereads often, but the cool thing about it is being able to obviously kind of put pieces together and remember how you thought about things and how you felt about them the first time, but almost amped up. Like it's like rewatching a movie, right? A movie you've seen 100 times and you can almost, you know what parts are coming, and then you see something different when you watch it again for a second time or a third time or whatever. And that's what I'm getting to experience with this. And I'm so happy that I'm rereading it because I had always liked Kel and Lila as characters, but now I'm appreciating them more and more because I'm seeing more details about their personalities. So, Kel is one of two Antari that are left in this entire world. So, one of two that can still travel in between the parallel Londons, and he has grown up with the royal family of Red London, and they treat him very well. They've always treated him like their son. And Rai, the prince, is his brother. He considers him his brother. So he's been like adopted into this family, but he is still technically owned by them because he works for them as their Antari. So he is used to deliver messages between the Londons and the kings and queens of the different Londons. And because he is just so unique and he, you know, he's one of two in the world. So even though they do love and care for him, he always kind of feels like he, at the end of the day, is still owned as this thing. Or like not a weapon necessarily, but just like a tool, something that they can use. I also forgot, because there are kings and queens of different Londons, that in White London, the king and the queen are actually a set of twins named Astrid and Astos, and they are diabolical. They are awful, awful characters, and I knew it. I remember reading about it, but man, when I was reading through the details again of how they act and what they do to anybody that disrespects them, it is on a level that I do not care for. But along with them, they have the second Antari left in the world named Holland, and I had also kind of forgotten about him and what role he plays in all of this. So whereas Red London is the London that is it's like the place you want to be. It is wealthy, not just from money, but in the people and the magic. Everybody is truly happy there. Things like rules and the magic and the people of all walks of life are respected there. White London is almost the opposite, where it is under an iron fist, especially with these two twins on the throne. But magic there, even though it is still readily used, it is used in a different way where they almost control it. Like they want to have like this like whips and chains attitude basically about magic and controlling it, and like everybody is in control, and like the more you have, the more powerful you are. It's very greedy, and it's just very opposite of what Red London is in general. And then there's Grey London, who doesn't even have magic anymore. And the people that live in Grey London, like the younger generations, don't even really know that magic exists or that it was a thing, or they've heard stories and rumors. So I forgot how intensely each London is different. And then the characters that come from each London and what they have been raised to be like and what their dynamics are between all of them. Because the very blatant like good and bad between the people of Red London and the people of White London makes the story so intense. And again, as I was saying in my last check-in, the way that V.E. Schwab writes, because she's so descriptive, it almost makes these dynamics feel on like a different, like a higher level of intensity, and it just brings so much to the story. Everything is just like amplified, and I love that so much. So the basis of this entire story, how Kel has always kind of worked with people that do know about the other Londons, and he'll help them move pieces of and he'll help them move things between the Londons, and he is definitely not supposed to be doing that. and he ends up moving this stone from one London to the next, and that's when he gets attacked. And when he meets Lila and discovers that this stone that he moved for this lady was actually a piece of Black London. It's a piece of stone. It is raw magic and can give even someone like Lila, who doesn't have magic or the ability to use magic, gives her like raw magical power. So it is a very, very coveted item, especially because Black London doesn't exist anymore. So we don't know why or how this artifact is still existing from Black London, and it had accidentally ended up with Kell when it was supposed to end up with Holland, the other Antari from White London. And now they've been battling it out this whole time, and Kell knows the right thing to do is to try to get this piece of stone back to Black London and try to destroy it. And Holland has been chasing him and Lila now through Red London, and that is basically where we're at the book, at the point of the book where I'm at now, kind of like our third act where everything is coming together. They've been running and hiding and fighting against Holland, and the throne also, because they are very clearly involved in wanting this piece of black stone. So now we are left here in the third act, if you will, with Astrid, the queen on the white throne, having finally capturing Kell, and Lila is going to do her best to try to save him because she is amazing and funny and conniving and a thief living in a whole new world. And I love watching her thrive in this London where she is just like, it's kind of known now that she is an acquaintance of Kell, so she's treated with this level of respect that she's never had before, which she does not know what to do with. But a thief is going to thief, and she knows that Kell is in trouble, and she is going to go get that man. And I just love watching not only her grow as this character, but her relationship with Kell grow, because this is the type of like slow burn book that you can feel something building between them, but nothing really comes to fruition. And I love that. I love watching a slow burn between people because it's much more, they are truly building feelings for each other. Like even if it's not romantic at this point, at least, it's care for the other person and making sure the other person is okay and safe. And there is something just so heartwarming about that. And I love it, love it, love it so much. So not only do we have that relationship kind of trying to build over the book, we have this fun adventure, like high stakes story. And I love it so much. And because I've read it before, I already know what happens, but I'm excited to relive it as I get towards the end of this book. So I am hoping by today or tomorrow, I wrap this book up and then I can give you guys a final check-in. I am so excited that you've been on this weekend vacation with my husband and I. We've had so much food, so much wine. And also I wanted to just do a quick side note of another book that I started, which is Emma by Jane Austen. I am going to be doing a buddy read of this with two of my fellow booktubers, Emily and Marissa. I am going to link their channels probably here and also in the description box. But we have decided to tackle this classic book together, so I'm excited. I was able to find a copy that I really liked at one of the bookstores here, which is what I was kind of waiting for. And I got about 15 pages into that yesterday. This is going to be a very long, drawn out buddy read, I think, but I'm excited to be doing it along two other amazing women and getting their thoughts and opinions on this classic novel. I think I'll do one more final thought wrap up on A Darker Shade of Magic. And until then, I hope you guys have had a fabulous weekend, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye. Hi, and welcome to the last and final check-in for our vlog reading A Darker Shade of Magic and wrapping up our trip to Traverse City, Michigan. If this feels like a very official check-in, it's because it is. I'm down in the YouTube studio playing around with some new lighting and some new filters on my talking head camera, so things feel a little bit different than normal, like vlogging camera style. Feels very like set up because it is. Anyways, I wanted to try it out here and see what I'm thinking lighting wise and what I would like to change for upcoming videos. And if you've been paying attention to my vlogs, so in my last weekly vlog, I talked about what we were doing with the studio and kind of how we were updating things and the lighting that we were changing and all that stuff. So if you want detail on all the stuff that we are changing and updating, it is in my last weekly vlog, which I will link below in this vlog as well. But with that being said, I wanted to do a last and final check-in for A Darker Shade of Magic and give you my final thoughts and opinions on this book. So I remembered how much I love this book as soon as I started reading chapter 1 again. It came back to me immediately. Let's just say that much. So first and foremost, let me say that I gave it a 5-star. This is a 5-star read through and through, and I think even more so on the reread. So I appreciated it even more on a reread, which is always good to know because there's a few books I have that I love very, very much that I want to reread and I haven't because I get a little nervous that I'm not going to love them as much as I did the first time. And this was actually the opposite. I probably first time around maybe rated this about 4 stars, 4.5. So this went even up from there. But I think it's because I've just grown to appreciate writing from V.E. Schwab on a deeper level than I did when I first read this and where I was at the time. Because if you recall me saying why I was rereading this book, it's because I was kind of falling out of a fantasy feeling or fantasy vibe at the time, and I just couldn't get myself to fall into fantasy after reading the first one. So 100% 5-star read from me. Not only is the writing just completely magical and so descriptive, like I forgot how V.E. Schwab could describe things without it being too much. Some stories I've read before, like the descriptions can go on for pages, which some people really appreciate, but for me, I just like my mind can't handle that. It's too much. I need to like keep the ball rolling with characters and not just like things happening in the book because I love very character driven books. And the way that she can describe things is like the perfect amount of description. She can make you think or feel or smell or taste whatever is happening at that moment in time. And then the characters in the book are what drive this for me more so than just the plot. So the dynamic of Kel and Lila are just absolutely perfect in my opinion. He is this morally gray character, which I know I say that a lot about her writing, but that's what she writes these characters as. So Kel is technically a good guy, but he sometimes does questionable things, and Lila is the same way. So she is like this conniving, thieving woman who will not flinch when it comes to pulling a knife on someone and handling business, but she does also have a moral compass, and she wants to help Kel obtain and reach the goals that he has for this book, not just for herself, even though it kind of like in the beginning seems that way, like she's really just craving an adventure and she wants to go on an adventure and do these things with someone and like get out of where she has grown up. But as she starts to grow as a character and develop a relationship with Kel and kind of flourish as a person, she steps a little bit more out of that, like, maybe not a good character, she's kind of a bad character, into the good character realm, and so ensues another morally gray character. But it is a perfect balance of them doing good, doing bad, defeating evil, and doing it for the greater good, and also just kind of caring for each other along the way. The development of the relationship between them is just so perfectly like slow burn, and nothing intense ever really happens between them, but they do have like these little fleeting moments where they actually like kiss each other and they say like little things like, oh my God, this is for luck. And I don't know, it's just, I love it. I love them both at the beginning of the book. Like they grow as characters, but they were already like these people that you loved from meeting them very early on. and kind of watching them again grow even from that. You just really get invested in them as characters. And I think that's what I like about this book and this story and her writing in general. And it is, now that I've read it again for a second time, I am like chomping at the bit to get to book 2. The way it ends is just so satisfying. You feel like it's a little bit of a happy ending, but it's also very open-ended for book 2 to happen. And I honestly can't even remember. Like, I started book 2 after this, but I just, again, I wasn't in it. I wasn't absorbing it. And I don't really even remember the beginning of book 2. I think I got maybe 50% of the way through it. So I am going to jump into reading book 2. And I think I'm going to continue a vlog on how I am rereading the first half of book 2 and then also just completing it in general. And I'm so excited to finish the entire series now. These two are quickly at the top of my list when it comes to like book characters and couples. And like, I know that like at the end of book 1, they're really not like a couple, but they just, you know, there's something there. Again, it's like all that fleeting, like kind of touching and holding hands and a kiss here and there and like caring for each other and the acts that they are doing. And I love that so much. I had said in one of my check-ins, I was shocked again at how evil and diabolical the king and queen, technically, because they're a set of twins that rule White London. I forgot how awful they truly are as characters, and it brought like this darkness to the book that was also like kind of gritty and raw and made it even like that much better. Like, I love sometimes like a true adult fantasy world, and to me, when you have elements that are like kind of really deep and dark like that, and what they do as characters, that really like makes me feel like I am reading something substantial, and like it kind of, I don't know, it brings like another layer to a fantasy story for me, and I had forgotten about that and I really, really liked it. So final thoughts on the book, 5-star read again after a reread. I loved it so much. I'm now super excited to get to book 2, and I think I'm going to continue that in the next vlog so we can kind of continue on with this series together as a group. And I'm so excited to do that. I also want to thank you so much for joining me on this weekly vlog, or weekend vlog kind of. I can't believe how much I was able to read while we were on vacation, but I'm so excited for you guys to see all of the bookstores we went to, all the shopping we did, all the amazing food we ate, and the views that we had being on Lake Michigan. So, so stunning, and I'm really glad that I got to share the experience with you guys. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button because it always helps a girl out. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of my other upcoming vlogs that I release on a weekly basis, go ahead and hit that subscribe button too. And have you read this book, just at least the first one or the entire series? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. Spoiler free though. Leave those in the comments below as well. As always, it has been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.